Hello, hope you are doing well. My name is Fatima Khan and I have done MPhil in zoology. I am going to be your lecturer for biology and chemistry, and for the reference I have entered my email address like fatimahk569@gmail.com, that if you have any query or any question that you want to ask, you can email me. I will be there for your answer. So let's dig into the today's lecture, which is menstrual cycle. Okay, let's begin our lecture. That what is menstruation? Menstruation is the monthly shedding of the lining of the uterus, and this lining is also known as endometrium. It is basically the inner lining, or you can say the inner layer of the uterus, which shed after month, and why it shed we will discuss later in our lecture. But before discussing, let me uh, discuss here that what is uterus. As you are seeing in diagram, that uterus is an inverted pure muscular organ, means it's completely muscular, made up of muscles without any kind of bone present in it, of a female reproductive system. Like females are characterized by the presence of the uterus. It's totally female reproductive system organ located between the bladder, urinary bladder, and the rectum. Now here the rectum is the coical part with, or you can say it's the end part of the digestive system, if you have studied the digestive system before. So menstruation is also known as menses, menstrual period, menstrual cycle, or simply period. Now here let me tell you one thing, that what happened when the inner lining of the uterus shed. As the females who are listening to this know that there is the release of the blood known as the menstrual blood. So when the lining of the uterus shed after 28 days, it results in the release of a blood which is known as menstrual blood, which is partially blood. It's not completely blood, or it is not the pure blood, as you know that it doesn't have the characteristics of the pure blood. It is mucus type blood containing the blood tissues from the inside of the uterus. Means that of course that when the uterus is bursting, it releases some sort of content, and that sort of content in the form of tissues excrete with the blood flows from the uterus. Now see the diagram, that here the blood is flowing from uterus to the cervix. Cervix is a point between uterus and vagina, and then it excretes through the body via vagina, which is also the reproductive characteristics or the reproductive part of the female. Females are characterized by the presence of ovaries, uterus, vagina, and cervix. Okay, so let's advance to our next slide. Okay, let us discuss that what is the driving force of menstruation. Now before discussing directly to the driving force, let me tell you one thing, that make sure that of course when some sort of process or some sort of uh, changes are occurring, there are and there should be some sort of the driving force. And now here the disturbing force is this ice cream vendor. Let him pass. Okay, the driving force of menstruation is hormones. Hormones trigger the process of menstruation. What are hormones? Hormones are the chemical messengers in the body, and these messengers must or might not be traveled by the blood, or they, instead of traveling, they just trigger or just stimulate the other organs to release hormone and to make changes, either positive one or negative one, or to to hindrance the changes, to stop the changes. So they are responsible for both, like for enhance the process or to stop the process. Now here in case of menstruation, the hormones involved are present in the pituitary gland, the gland which is present in your brain. Just see the diagram here, the diagram. It's pointing in the brain, and that P-shaped organ is known as pituitary gland. So the hormones responsible for triggering the action of menstruation are present in the pituitary gland of your brain and ovaries. Ovaries are the reproductive organs of female reproductive systems. They are part of female reproductive system, and they are responsible for the production of eggs known as ovaries, known as egg, or you can say ovule. Ovary are the reproductive organs in which ovule or egg are produced, which are the sex cells of female reproductive system. Now these hormones which are released from the pituitary gland, which is present in your brain, and ovaries, which are part of your reproductive system, they make the release of certain hormones, like we will discuss later, like follicular stimulating hormone, or you can say prostaglandin, or luteinizing hormone LH, known as LH, or you can say estrogens. These hormones are responsible for the changes in changes which cause the release of the menstrual cycle, or which cause the process of menstruation to occur. These hormones at certain times during your menstrual cycle control, or they cause the release of the menstrual blood via vagina. Okay, these hormones, what that these hormones do. Now how do the menstrual blood release? The process behind is that these hormones cause the lining of the uterus to thicken. Now why they are causing it to thicken? This happens so if a pregnancy would occur, this process is, they are preparing our body to receive a zygote, preparing for pregnancy for a baby. They are creating an environment to occupy, to accumulate the baby. This happens when, if pregnancy would occur, an egg can implant into your uterine lining. Okay, just see the diagram which I have put here. Okay, hormones also cause your ovaries to release an egg. As I've already told you that within the ovaries an ovule is present, which is known as egg, and when the egg from ovaries, or when the ovule from ovaries are released, this process is known as ovulation. The egg moves down your fallopian tube. Just keep your focus on the diagram, that from ovary the ovule is released and it is directly entered to the fallopian tube, and in the fallopian tube what does it do? It waits for the sperm. Why it waits for the sperm? Of course, for the process of fertilization. Fertilization is a process in which egg and sperm unites to form a zygote. If a sperm does not fertilize that egg, what would happen? Of course, pregnancy does not occur. The lining of your uterus then breaks down because pregnancy doesn't occur. So the lining breaks down and it sheds and releases the blood and all the lining tissues via vagina in the form of menstrual blood, which is known as period. Okay, what is menstrual cycle? We have discussed menstruation, so let us discuss that what is menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is a term to describe the sequence of events that occur in your body as your body prepares for the possibility of pregnancy each month. I have already discussed you that inner lining of the uterus become thickening, as it is preparing each month to receive or to conceive pregnancy. Your menstrual cycle is the time from first day of the menstrual period till the next month, till your next menstrual period. So let us suppose that if your menstruation start of the third of the month, so until the next menstrual, which can be the 30th or 28th of the month, so the time frame between these days is known as your menstrual cycle, and this cycle can be slightly vary from one individual to another. You can say one female to another female, but the process is same. The average length of the menstrual cycle is 28 days. However, a cycle can be ranged from 21 to 35 days, and it is normal. And the day between the periods in your menstrual cycle length can be of, you can say, just let us pass. It's so much disturbing when the, I'm sorry for this. A period is small, and if it's anywhere, it can be of, the release of the blood can range from 3 days to 7 days. However, it can be shorter or larger to some individual. These days can be minimized or maximized. As you can say, the shorter range can be of 1 day or 2 days, or the larger or the maximum length of the release of the blood can range from 8 to 10 days. But if it feeds, if it exceeds more than these, then you should consult your gynecologist. Okay, start again. The range, shorter range, some people have the menstrual cycle for 3 days, but it's okay. Okay, now let us discuss the phases of menstrual cycle. The rise and falls of your hormones trigger the steps in the menstrual cycle. That these hormones cause the organs of your reproductive tract or and the hormones of the pituitary gland to act in a certain way. The action and the triggeration take place in the 4 phases, which are follicular phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase, and menstrual phase. Now focus on the diagram. Here I have discussed just the outline of these phases. We will discuss in later. It's a very long-term process, discussion process. So outlining these phases, let's come to the follicular phase. Follicular phase is a phase where the egg start developing. It's the phase of the developing of the egg. Okay. Ovulation, as name indicates, now egg is ready to release. Luteal phase, egg gets released. And in ovulation phase, back in ovulation phase, there is 2 steps occurring, like there is the release of the egg, ovulation, ovule, and there is the thickening of the walls of the uterus, inner lining of the uterus, which is, I have already told you that it is known as endometrium. Luteal phase means that egg is released now in the inner lining. Now it goes to the fallopian tubes where it waits for fertilization. But when fertilization does not occur, the egg get destroyed, and the inner lining of the uterus, which is prepared for to conceive the implant egg, to conceive to the pregnancy. Then what happened, then this inner lining of the uterus, which is known as endometrium, becoming to shed, and these shedding tissues along with the release particles of the egg, that egg, and partially the blood also, these cause the menstrual blood to release via the vagina.